What's up, everybody? Back Gajewski here, back again with the Stochastic channel. Today we're talking college football DFS ahead of Week 13, the showdown slate between Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you by Prize Picks. They have a first match deposit of up to $100 for new users, and they're giving you one free month of Odd Shopper. We have tons of innovative tools helping you with sides, totals, as well as player props, which directly applies to Prize Picks. They provide player props for all major sports, niche sports, college football's on there. So take advantage of this. Link in the video description below. Let's dive into this, bringing you to our data usage tool. If you want access to this, we have player projections, ownership projections, as well as this layout. You can take advantage of this and just look at it yourself without pausing the video. The link is below. We'll keep that quick just because it's a single game. And we'll dive right in. 10-point spread in favor of Ole Miss, 55.5 total, pretty healthy here. Ole Miss is 11th in pace, about a 43.5% pass rate. They have, I guess, been seeding money. I mean, Mississippi State's been taking the money. So this has come down. And that's largely because Jackson Dart is questionable. I don't think this makes a huge difference to the game. You have Spencer Sanders behind him. That's maybe the best backup signal caller in the country. Both players are similar. I think you'll be giving up some efficiency passing wise, but Sanders has elite mobility, just like Jackson Dart. So honestly, I don't really care who starts this game. And honestly, if Spencer Sanders starts, you might be getting just a straight up better price adjusted projection because he's much cheaper on both platforms compared to Dart. But at the end of the day, I want to be playing the Ole Miss signal caller regardless of who it is. The Mississippi State defense definitely doesn't scare you, and there's plenty of weapons for this team. So this will just be a wait and see. I think that Sanders would project a little better than Dart price adjusted because of the severe discount you're getting on him. But Dart's still an amazing play as well. I think this does directly affect Quinshon Judkins because he's going to have an awesome projection on this slate. 21 touches per game. He's averaging 85 rush yards. And then he's been awesome through the air. And he's handled an increased pass game role. He's at 70% of the routes last game, only 2 targets, but that's still incredible involvement. If Dart starts, I think Judkins is going to be a better price-adjusted value. If it ends up being Spencer Sanders, I think this will be debatable just because of the pricing on the two. But it's really hard to poke holes in Judkins. Ulysses Bentley is also involved for this team. He's only 5,600 on DK, which I think is the preferred place to play him over FanDuel, where he's a bit more expensive. 8.5 touches per game. He's a change of pace option. I think there's going to be others that project better just as pure values on a price-adjusted perspective, but you could use Bentley and Judkins together, the 10-point favorites. We've seen this team run the ball incessantly at times, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that you get 20 Judkins carries and another 10 for Bentley as this team runs the ball like 40 times in certain game environments. Receiving room, this is very clear. It's basically Jordan Watkins, Trey Harris, Dayton Wade on every single snap at this point. Zachary Franklin's been injured. They've also used Caden Prieskorn on almost every single snap, and he finally had a 6-target game last time out. I mean, these are the guys you want, and it's not even really close. I'll buy low on Jordan Watkins, also at 7,600, coming in cheaper on both platforms compared to Trey Harris and Dayton Wade. It's still very close between all these guys, so you're splitting hairs, but honestly, you get a pretty good discount on Watkins. I will be mixing and matching all three, and I anticipate playing a lot of Caden Prieskorn. His route rate was above 80%. He's only 3,600, which is just a screaming value on DraftKings. A little more expensive on FanDuel, where I kind of like mid builds, like balanced builds, if you will. But on DK Prieskorn, I imagine pops as a pure value option on this slate. Outside of that, you didn't really have anybody else see the field. You had a couple routes for Aiden Williams, a couple routes for Braylon Brown. If you're looking for just pure dart throws, those are the guys that play the most. I imagine if you're running a lot of lineups, like Braylon Brown will probably pop over Aiden Williams just at a cheaper price point. Mississippi State, 47.5% pass rate, 82nd in pace. I expect them to be closer to like a 50% pass rate as underdogs, and with Will Rogers under center. Mike Wright completely torpedoed the offense, and they were entirely inept. So I think the offense moves the ball more, and they pass more under Will Rogers. You still have to be concerned with him. He takes a ton of sacks. He's definitely behind Dart and Judkins in terms of just straight up rankings. If Sanders plays, he's well behind these guys. So I anticipate using Will Rogers more as a flex option just because he has to get there passing. The matchup's not ideal, and he's expensive for a guy that's going to take sacks. So we'll be a little underweight to Will Rogers. In the run game, they did return Jo'quavious Marks, 12 carries. Snaps were essentially split evenly between Marks, Seth Davis, and Jeffrey Pittman, who's also been banged up a little bit this year. To me, it makes Marks a little bit expensive, but he also has the outs to like a 20 carry workload. So a guy I want to sprinkle in my lineups. I definitely don't want to be complete zeros on him. I want some of him in the lineups. And I guess that also brings us to Pittman and Davis, who are going to pop as pretty decent value plays because of the roles that they have as change of pace backs. The last thing I say about this is the potential for Joe Marks to get more carries is potentially heightened by last week's matchup, playing Southern Miss, who they absolutely clobbered. So maybe in tighter games, you see this workload go back Joe Marks' direction at the expense of Seth Davis and Pittman, because they did just play in a blowout. But honestly, the games prior, Davis and Pittman have been pretty involved too. Receiving game, we've seen less rotation from Mississippi State of late, which I think has been positive for their projections. At least it's less volatile. Lighted Griffin's route rate has been about 75% pretty consistently. Xavier Thomas has been upper 80s, low 90s in terms of route rate. Justin Thomas has been a guy that has been cut a little bit, seen route rates of 42% and 37%. Freddie Roberson parked pretty clearly at 60. Antonio Harmon right at 50. Creed Whitmore about at 20. And then everyone else, just handful of snaps. Jordan Mosley, Jaden Wally, not getting to those guys. So to rank them, I think you're very clearly looking at Xavier Thomas as the one. You get him at a cheaper price point than Lighted Griffin. I have no issues with that. Xavier Thomas was injured to begin the year, so I think that's largely why he hasn't seen as many raw targets. But I'll take him straight up over Lighted Griffin. Lighted Griffin would be number 2 for me. I think beyond that, I'm honestly interested in getting to Freddie Roberson as the 3. Again, the route rate's just straight up been better than Justin Robinson. So I would prefer Freddie Roberson. And honestly, I think I'd prefer Antonio Harmon over Justin Robinson too. Just a better route rate for him. And he's the stone minimum. So, I mean, that's really all there is to say. There's a lot of mispricing with the Mississippi State guys. And again, Creed Whitmore, Mosley, Wally, not getting these guys with just the other value plays. You're only getting like a couple snaps per game for those players. That'll do it for us today. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have a question, please reach out on Twitter at Matt_Gajewski. Otherwise, we'll be back for Friday and Saturday as well as bowl season. So until then, good luck, everyone. We'll see you next time.